Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in yesterday's video, which is 10 minutes ago, I started using this particular DMC stranded cotton to create the stems on my piece. And I did stem stitch and I found it was just too thick. It was 6 threads. Then I split it in half and I used 3 threads for the top part here and it was still too thick. And at the end of the video, I decided I was just going to unpick it and start again. So using the same colour, I just did normal straight stitch. Just some fine little stitches. I used 3 threads and just worked my way down the whole piece and it's heaps better. Now, as you recall, I'm referring to my book from Jennifer Colston, and this section here was where I drew all my inspiration. And when I went back and had another look, she did the same. She used just the one stitch instead of a stem. That's stem stitch, so it's a lot thicker, where that's just one stitch. So if I had looked at the book and not gone on my own merry way, I would have quickly realised that that was the case. Now, I just started working down through here, and this time I'm using the pearl cotton. Oh, this might actually be Wonderful Pearl Cotton, which is just a brand in the whole family of pearl cottons, called Slate, which to me is very much for our colour tone. And I was searching for the word yesterday, but I'm thinking that these will be a lovely, see, they sort of blend but not. Like we've got a green and we've got a slate, but they're sort of in the family of these grey tones. So I started working, that's part of my bits that I've chopped out everywhere. I've started working this stem in the slate. Now I'm just catching this tiny little bud that I did out here. If you're ever wondering where to put your stem, come up at the bud and just have a play with the thread, and that'll soon tell you aesthetically where your stitch should go. Like that doesn't look right. That still doesn't, but that's starting to look like it could be okay for a natural looking stem. So if you're ever unsure of where to lay your next branch or stem, just pop your needle up through. Now I'm just sort of softening these big long lines with some additional little twigs, just to sort of break the eye up a little bit there. Now I need to get over to here, so I'm going to actually end that off. I'm going to be a good girl. Instead of just jumping across on the back of my piece, I'm going to end it off and start again where I need to. Grandma, you would be proud. Now this one here, Jennifer's just come straight down from it, but because it's such a big blossom, I'm actually going to do, see, I'm breaking the rules. I'm going to do a little bit of a triangular stitched area here that would nestle in all of those petals. So it looks like they're being held together by something. So I'm going to try and graduate this down. See, when I go off plan, I'm trying hard to learn some new things here, and I'm already within 4 minutes and 3 seconds going off on my own tangent again. Worst case, we unpick it. There we go. So I've just put like a little throat on that. It's ever so small, but I think it sort of helps you, it helps convince whoever's looking at this piece that they are flowers. So once again, you can direct your thread. See how different that looks if that stitch went to there versus there versus there. And I actually like the longer one, but my instinct, I actually drew into here, but I'm going to take that thread longer. So So I'm just going to now do some stitches down. Oh, and I've lost the thread. I noticed something else on Jennifer's picture up here is she's got a little bud coming off that stem. Like my stem looks very uniformed and straight. So if I get any leftover thread from doing flowers, I might just go back up to that bud at the top, that branch at the top there, and put in another little. There we go. That's good. Now I'm just going to sneak down there with my thread and knot it off. Do that again. It's really fun just creating a panel with some basic flowers on it and then see what you can do to the flowers to make them just different. It's a sampler of stitches, but what am I trying to say? But sort of exploring your threads and exploring your materials and your colours, especially when you pick yourself a colour palette and don't change, you know, stay within those colours. I've just split this down to 2 threads now. I used 3 up there, and I just want to bring in a little bud. How did she do that? It was within the flower. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. So it's the stem's gone past and then the flowers come off of it. I can't do that because I've connected my flower to the stem already. I might be able to do something up here. If I just put the stitch in. Yeah, so what I'm doing is, see, I've come through with that and that connected, but I've just put another stitch here and I could do a little bud coming off, a little cluster. It's a tiny detail, but it's those little things that makes Jennifer's work really pop. They're the things we need to learn, because you do the classic all in a row routine, which is our childhood. Just keep it simple, all in a row. Now what I'm going to do is I might get this and see if I can get a little, I think those puppy dogs are about to end up in a blue. They've got a piece, yeah, they've got a piece of branch, like it's, you know, when you get a palm that falls off of a tree and you get that wide bit at the bottom as it connects to a tree. Here we go, we're talking about nature again. They've got a piece of that. It's only about that big. Bandit plays with it all day. Every so often, Pepper comes along and says, I want that. And he's like, no. So there's a tussle. And then she gets sick of that fun tussle, which is all Bandit's doing. He's just having fun. And she goes, no, I want it now. And then all hell breaks loose. And he immediately flips to his back, throws his paws in the air and says, okay, you can have it. And she's like, great, thank you. And she'll walk off. She'll sit about 1 metre away from him and have a little chew. And then that's all she wants. So then he gets up and says, well, if you're not playing with it, I'll have it, because it was mine to start with. She says, no. He says, oh, come on. She says, no. She's just a little cow. And then if he decides, no, I do want it, and grows his little man boots, his big boy boots, she then, all hell breaks loose. So there's this carry on, lots of open mouth, gnashing of teeth, but no one's actually chomping. You know, that it's more noise than anything. And then she gets it again and takes it away completely. She's like, "No, you're not getting it." That's good. I like that. I'll bring it up to the camera and show you what I just did. I did 3 lazy daisy stitches off center from where I was to make it look like this branch has this little bit growing off from it. So there's like a, if I didn't have red and black pen everywhere, you'd really see it. When I iron this, it'll show up. So we've got the main stem coming through, then there's this little stitch heading off with 3 little buds in it, and it's just made the top of that look a little bit more interesting. Very clever girl, that young Jennifer. All right. What are we going to do next? I think we need to work this. How are we going to do that? I really would like wool, to be honest. Do I have wool? I don't. Maybe. No, I don't. Might have to come back to that. Maybe I need to have another look through my wools. Because like here's a wool sitting here that's the wrong colour, but you can see the chunkiness that it's going to give me. The only one I've got is this cream. Probably would work, you know. Look, I'm going to just pause the video. I'm going to go for another rummage. Maybe there's a colour in my wools that will work in with that lot. Back in a moment, guys. Okay, I'm back. Now, I've got my container here, and I found that, which I think might work. And I found that, which is better again. Even that, no. All right, so there, some, and then I've been collecting wools when I see them from Melanie, purveyor of textiles, who's on Instagram, and she sells reclaimed textiles, and it's a bit of a rand. Oh, look, there's a variegated. Hello. No, see, that's different again. It's turquoisey tones. Here's something. See, if I just had have looked a little... Oh, okay. There's another wool. That's like a different shade again. All right, well, I had more than I thought. See, you get to a point in your craft room where you really have no idea what you got. There's a good beigey. No, see, it's not quite right, is it? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I might pull that one out. There's only a tiny itty bitty bit. Maybe we just use it for the sake of it's gone. That's enough. Okay, so I got, get rid of you. I got more than I thought. Well, there you go. Get rid of you. Let's pop you guys here. Oh. And here I was convincing myself I needed to go and spend some money and purchase some more wools. But turns out I don't. I've managed to pull a bit of a palette. That pink is, that there's not looking right, is it? Having said that, yeah. So it can be tricky because when you look at one thread, it's fine. But when you look at it in a cluster, it doesn't quite work. So it makes it tricky when you're standing in a thread store or a craft store looking at a wall of colours and you think, well, there's nothing there, but you nearly need to pull the skein off the shelf and just get one thread and go, okay, well, that's not so wrong after all. Now, going back to this, do we do a tonal thing? Or do we do within the family of greys? I'm a bit reluctant to do that guy. He might be good down here with some of these darker. I think we do. I don't know what I think we should do. It's a bit dowdy. I'm going to do the pinky tone. Let's have a play with this. Oh, I'm pleased I found these. I think it's because I must have done a project recently where I didn't feel like I had many greys. Then Melanie's parcel arrived and I've got more than I recall. Because you forget, don't you? That's why I need to have another reshuffle of the entire room and just put my hands on everything again and see what's hidden in there in the way of treasures. It's time to go shopping in my room. I'm not going to go shopping anywhere else, just in my room. Okay, so we're using Appleton wools, made in England. Try and keep your colour girl to the little piece of paper connected to, what am I trying to say? Piece of paper connected to the particular yarn. So if you want more, you know what the hang you're buying. So I think what I'm going to do is just scoot across in big stitches and just layer it up. And to save a little bit of yarn, I'm going to come up exactly where I go down so that I'm not wasting the same length of thread on the back. You see how there's nothing there? So for you newbies, that's a little trick for you so that you don't have a piece of work that just, what do Grandma used to say? A yarn muncher. This piece is a yarn muncher. And that's because it's using a lot of yarn. And if you are tricky with your stitches, you can be saving a little bit just by the way you lay them down. See, Grandma did listen. But no, I was a scatterbrain. I'm sure she thought, this girl, I tell you. There we go. There is a lot of scribble there from red pens and black pens, so I may need to change the direction of my little branch when it comes time so that it sits correctly. But it does sort of go into mid-air there a little bit. It doesn't actually connect to anything. So I'm happy with that. That pink, that pale pink and that grey really works. All right, so we have a little bit of pale pink now on our needle. Where can we go to use that up? We'll go back to some of those little buds maybe. Or do we stay, I think we'll stay with this plant because this is all beiges up here. Maybe we do. Might just do the top petals here and then maybe use a grey underneath them so it looks like let's do one, two. Pull that quite firm. I'm going to just loosen that stitch. That's better. It was puckering the fabric. Okay. And now we'll do quite a plump petal at the top here. Yep, I like that. Little pink petals, and I've just got enough wool to knot that off. Okay, let's have another little look. Maybe we use this little bit of green. That's a pretty colour, that. I wonder if that's still available. How old is this? How old is this cotton? I think I'm going to keep it quite fine. This piece of flowers, to match this, especially this section down the bottom here, it's very stick-like plants. So if I learnt anything from my first attempt of bringing that stem stitch down, that my stems need to be quite fine. So I'm going to use this little bit of green and work. If anything, the stems are insignificant to the piece. Does that make sense? It's like they're there, but they're not the story. The story is all of these different flowers and what we've done to create them. Now you'll be watching this video and I will be well and truly down at Melbourne by now at the retreat. So I have a few pre-recorded videos for you that will pop up through this week, and I think I'm back on Sunday. So it'll keep you guys occupied while I'm off attempting to learn something new, or at least hanging out with a heap of like-minded ladies, yibby-yabbering. Isn't that what retreat's all about? Hanging out with the tribe. So I'm not sure if this video will turn out to be number 3 in the series of embroidering these flowers. I'd say it will, because I think I want to just do the lot with you. Unless we get to a section where I can do it off camera, but I don't think I will, because Jennifer Colston has made every flower slightly different. So it's hard for me to say, all right, these daisies are all that, and I go ahead and do them, because they're not. So I think we will be spending a bit of time on this sampler. And then as soon as we get this done and out of our system, I might bring another thread up there just to mix that up a bit. Or do I? No, I'll keep going. As soon as we get this piece done, you will see 3 videos from the Susanna Vintage Blend Studio stitch along that I've been doing. She's working on those vintage sewing elements, or things that we used to sew back in the day, in the way of log cabins and embroidery techniques, and there's crazy patchwork coming, all sorts of things. Well, Susanna's selected, I believe it's 9, and we are each month working through the prompt. So I usually release that video, or it's usually 2 videos, at the first week after Susanna does hers. I then follow with mine. But I didn't didn't do that. So I've pushed them back to while I was away on this retreat. So as soon as we get this block finished, you will see 3 videos working through the Susanna project. And I think it's Log Cabin, if I remember rightly. I better check that before I go and tell you something that's wrong. But I'm pretty sure. I'm just going to log on to my YouTube channel. Okay. Yes, it is. So Log Cabin. And it's 1, 2, 3 videos. And then there's another 2 videos after that, which is revisiting the Japanese rice bag that we've made. Now, we've made 2, the Japanese rice bag in the blue tones with Sasiko stitching all over it. Then I did one with a dedication to my French fabrics. And now I'm starting a 3rd one, and I'm doing a scrappy quilt type string quilt, scrappy string quilt, I think it's called. And you'll find out all about it. I won't go into too much detail now, but I actually filmed the video about a month ago when I saw some fellow YouTubers, one being Sonia Steptoe, showing us this style of using scraps and stitching them all down in a square and keep building and building upon it, and then embroidering on top of it. And I thought, wow, that's something new I haven't done. Now, some of the girls that Sonia saw doing it are in the UK, and they're doing massive quilts out of it. So I've hunted those girls down. I've had a look at their videos. They're linked in the whole description. And yeah, so it's a case of I'm having a go at one of the squares, and I'm using it on the 3rd rice bag. So we're now going to be doing a rice bag in shabby chic colours. So the soft pastel-y tones. And this particular technique is going to be one side. As for the 3 other sides, no idea. Haven't thought that far. I just saw the idea on Sonia's channel. I'm like, oh, I've never done that. And like I've mentioned before, those Japanese rice bags that I made, which are sort of storage bags or totes, are a great way of having a little stitch or a little play with an idea and concept, and then pop it on the side of the bag. And then you might do another one another day, or you might do a course. Now, what I thought with the shabby chic one, which I don't even think I mention in the video because it came at a later time, was I've managed to get myself enrolled into a class with Jennifer. She is a Sunshine Coast Queensland girl, and she's based at a store, a fabric store on the Sunshine Coast. So I contacted the store, and her classes are just forever booked out with the local ladies. You imagine very, very lucky they are. So I said to her, look, if I do 2 classes, because I think it's a Wednesday, they do a day class and an afternoon class. I said, I'm coming up from Brisbane. Can I book into the 2? And they had a spot in the one, but not the other. But they've managed to find a chair in the back room and drag it out and pop it in the class. So I'm doing a morning session and an afternoon session with Jennifer. And this shabby chic Japanese rice bag, I thought if I take, because you take your threads along that you've got, and then Jennifer sort of goes through what she uses and you go from there. I thought some of the other sides on this rice bag could be what I learn in the class. So that's the plan for the Japanese rice bag shabby chic. Does that make sense? So can't wait. Now that class is at the end of July. So it's in a little way from now. But you will watch 2 videos of the starting of a shabby chic bag while I'm away at a retreat in Melbourne. Does that make sense? You'll be thinking, gee, this girl's getting around. She is. She's decided that this year she's going to learn new things And that means, what am I doing with this stem? I don't like that last stitch. I like how it just ends, and I went to connect it, and it's not even part of that plant, so it just didn't look right. Yeah, remember at the beginning of the year I said I was going to try my darndest to learn new things. So that meant the Melbourne retreat, and that also meant getting myself up to the Sunshine Coast to get into one of Jennifer's classes. And the third artist that I'd love to work with is Fleur Woods. So hopefully by the time you're watching this video, I've managed to enroll in her next class, which is where you learn how to embroider flowers or paint with thread like she does. I feel like I need something else on this flower. Now that's it there. But I just feel like it needs something. What if I was to do a lazy daisy stitch off from the side here, just to soften? Yeah, I'm happy now. There's a bit of Corrine happening there. Yeah, just needed, maybe I need another one up here, out in the air, as if there's a branch in the background there somewhere. I can always undo it if it looks silly. No, I like that. So this is very whimsical. So that's the plan. You will see the remainder of the videos needed to complete this panel, which I thought was going to be 1, but it's probably looking more like 3. Then you will see the Susanna project, which is all about learning to do a log cabin. Susanna does it on a sewing machine. I'm going to do it by hand. I'm going to try and stitch it in the vein of Mandy Pattullo, and when the videos start, you'll see my inspiration. She has this vintage log cabin she finds on a quilt, and it's all wonky because whoever made it back in the day quilted the whole quilt by hand. So therefore, it's not as precise and straight as the more modern version of a log cabin that Susanna does on her sewing machine. So I try and do it by hand, and I tell you, you wouldn't want to be doing a whole quilt. It was a lot of work. So what am I doing here? Stop gas bagging, concentrate. I really want to work something in here. I think I need to bring in a soft pink, guys. Do I have anything that's remotely... Ooh. I didn't want to go into the pinks. What's this? Oh, I think I could do it. And it's got green. It's variegated. Ooh. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. To get a variegated ribbon with pink and a little bit of green, you'd have to think that was a bit of a bonus. I'm going to lose a little bit of this ribbon in that knot, but that's okay because it just means I need to think about where I place. Maybe I'll do that. Let's have a look. That little woof. Did you hear that woof? That was Pepper. Just a little, what you doing, Mum? Oh, isn't that pretty? So these pinks I'm working with here, they're nearly a fleshy coloured pink, aren't they? I'm really liking this is coming together, to be honest. For my mannequin, I'm liking these colours. Now I'm going to probably get, oh yeah, a bit more green. So I'm using the bulk of the green in this piece, this flower. The other thing I wanted to mention too is, as you've been watching these samplers get made, a lot of you have been going to the craft fair that's currently in Bendigo. And actually, while we were filming, a message popped up from another one of you lovely ladies. I think it's Judy this time. But there's about 4 of you that have gone to that craft fair and have come back to me saying that the lady that owns the company that sells this fabric is going out of business. And Judy, your message popped up. Fiona, the lady you bought all of those fabrics from, is closing her business in a month or so after the Sydney fair. The fabrics are not being made anymore. I had a lovely chat with her and I bought a small order. So thanks, Judy. And Judy's one of about 4 that have been to that particular fair and have found this lady. And she has told them that her supplier is no longer available in France. So that's handy to know, because if you did want to, now I'm going to do, what am I going to do? Do I end it off or do I just shoot straight up there and drop a pink? See, the variegation is now going pink. So if I scoot up there, I should get a few pink petals. This is where working with, oh no, I need to go to the top of the petal. This is where working with variegated thread is a lot of fun, because you can sort of place, see what I mean? Place your stitch where you need it to be. So I've got a lot of pink coming next. So we'll work through there. And that green, I love it. So that's a classic case of you think you don't have what you need to do a piece, but then you look through your threads or your ribbons a couple times and colours start to pop out to you. So let's get this little pink stitches in place. What am I going through? A lot of resistance there because I'm going through ribbons from the first stitch. And now I've pulled them tight, so I just need to loosen them off. That's better. And there's my second petal. Gee, that's a bit of a mishmash, isn't it? There's some green wool coming back through. So yeah, as I was saying, if you want to get some of those fabrics, the link is below, and I would hop along and organise that, because it sounds like they're not going to be available too much longer, which is a shame because they're so pretty. Oh, see, I'm coming back through. So now I'm just going to do some little buds. I'll do the top ones first. Do 4 of them to use the last of this ribbon. So thanks, ladies. The Scout's on the ground. I thought you might bump into that company. I never knew her first name. What did you say there, Judy? Fiona. I thought you might bump into Fiona at some of those fairs that are on at the moment, because that's where I found her products. Where am I going? Over there? Yep. So that's handy to know. So I do thank you, ladies. I think Melinda, you were another one. Jenny, you were another one. So there's a few of you girls that have got out and about this weekend past to the big fair. So lucky, lucky girls, I say. Lucky girls. Wonder when the Sydney one's on. I don't think we're getting one in Brisbane. They've sort of done Queensland, as in they went to Toowoomba and up the coast a little bit, and now they're down in Sydney. So I didn't see one, unless it was on while I was away and I just missed it. But I haven't seen I think it's Craft Alive is the company that runs those fairs. There's a few of them that, there we go. I like that. Oh, very pretty. All right, so I've got a daisy down here. Let's have a play with you next. I might have a look at this Appleton wool. Or do I use this cordage? I sort of feel like I might want it finer. I'm going to use this cordage. And see what this looks like. This is the one that I found in an op shop. It was 50 cents for a tiny little bit wound onto a little piece of cardboard. So I popped it in my stash. Let's see what it stitches up like. And this little guy, he's looking straight up. So we need all of our little petals pointing to the sky. He's only going to be a little, oh yeah, I like that. And I noticed Jennifer in one of her flowers, she had quite a little obvious tail to the stitch. See how you can see my end stitch at the end of that loop? Usually when I do a lazy daisy, I hide that stitch. I come in right in close, but Jennifer has made them very obvious, and it sort of creates another dimension to the little petal. So I'm going to do that too. Yep, that's going to work a treat. How are we going for time? And am I... No, we're good. I guess the one thing I could do off screen is the leaves. So we'll see how we go. We don't have a lot more to do. We are making progress. So these petals are getting a little bit longer, and then they'll need to shorten up again. I'll definitely be 3 videos by the time I do some beading as well. Now Jennifer hasn't done beading in hers that I could see, but I need to have a little play with them because I definitely will be beading the Seamstress Mannequin. So Just let my needle hang. It is twisted. That'll unravel it. So I need to shorten up these petals. We're getting a little bit out of whack there. So let's get this one coming back up. That's better. Make the stitch obvious. And now another one. So I'm going to have a little bit of thread left, so we might go further afoot with it and see if we can create a bud somewhere using it. I like this, you know, that little bit of thread you have left. Go back up into your piece and find a little spot where it could be used, and it just helps bring your whole piece together. Even though this flower is a one-off down here. There we go. So we've got that shape and a little bit left. So let's see where we can use it. And because everything's tonal, it should look like it blends and look like we know what we're doing. So that will work up here. Let's do this little guy here. Might barely get enough to do what we need, but one. Come on, have we got enough thread? Oh, it'll be tight. 2. Slow down, girl. I've made a lazy daisy stitch that's not closed at the base of the stitch. So let's just stop. This thread twists really easily. I wonder if it's because it's cordage. And one more stitch is what we want. Pepper's just trotted past the window. Maybe my husband is up, had his shower, and she is like heading towards the kitchen, knowing that that's the next stage in the process of the morning activities. Breakfast and snacks for puppies. I do a little bit of doggy training with them at breakfast. They're outside dogs, but I sneak them in at breakfast and they sit beside us and watch us eat, which shows them that they don't get anything. So that when I have like a barbecue or a party outside, they're not bugging everyone for food. They just sit and watch. And then once we've finished our food, I then give them some little, you know, corners off of our breakfast, like the toast corner or something like that, plus a few little doggy treats, and we move away from our eating area and I just do the old sit, stay, release. I'm trying my hardest to get some law and order into their brains, but, you know, it seems to all go to pot when the visitors come. They don't listen to a word I say. But they're good when it's just me, Gaz, and them. The moment there's other dogs, kids and adults, oh, they're scatterbrains. I feel like I need a little bit of taupey tones. I'm going to do this guy next, I think, for this flower. And I might do 2 because it is fine. And this little daisy down the bottom is this one. Probably don't have enough thread, but we'll give it a go. Come. believe I snuck that colour in. This is supposed to be neutral and I've snuck in that. Now these little petals need to be quite round. So I'm not going to pull the Lazy Daisy stitch too tight because I want that bulbous look to the daisy instead of that long elongated petal like this guy. We want a more round look. That's what Jennifer did. So let's try and teach ourselves a new version again. Okay. Might be just enough. Oh, I don't think it will. I'm going to be short. I might end it off. Can I get one more? Oh, it's going to be close. Come on, you can do it. Just a little petal more. There we go. Got it. Got it, got it, got it. So that's good. I like that one. That colour works in well. It's like a caramelly, that's not even a word, a caramel toned thread. I might need to revisit my beads and see if I've got enough colours that sort of match this type of work, like pewter. I've got a little bit of champagne gold, which is what I'd call a soft coloured gold. I know I don't have much in the way of diamantes and things like that. There we go. So there's our two daisies, and that one we did yesterday. So I've just got to work out what the centre of them is going to be. We have some branch here and leaves. How are we going for time? Pretty good. Haven't yet finished those off there, so let's do those. What's left? What haven't we used? Haven't used this. It's quite pale. It would work up there. It's nearly an ivory. So let's do double thread. And then in the third video, I can't believe this has gone to 3 videos, we will work out the final stems and the leaves. How are we going for time? We've got 15 minutes. Don't rush, girl. It's all good. Let's do this up here. And we will look at the bead side of things and see where we can work some of those in, and they will be at the top of all those daisies. I'm making this quite an open stitch as well. Once again, still Lazy Daisy. Isn't it amazing that we've done nothing but Lazy Daisy here, other than the ribbon, and it just looks so different. Now, as I said, Jennifer hasn't used beads in any of those pictures, in any of those flowers. So the bead is definitely going to be Corrine Beading. it'll give me a good chance to have a look at my beads to see even if I have what we need. Gee, I thought I didn't have what I needed in threads, but look at that. There's the Seamstress colour scheme. Love that. And I know we can bring this glam into that because this is neutral. Really happy with. Oh, look, I can't recommend enough doing mini mood boards. While we wait for the project to start, we all know how to do all these stitching and backgrounds and invisible stitches and embroidery. We've been doing it since the project started with these girls, Rachel and Sarah. So have a go at some mood boards because it might just eliminate colours that you're thinking, oh, maybe that's not going to work. Or you do a mood board and you realise you want more red than blue. Like, do it. We've got time, especially if your Down the Garden Path is completed. Now, Down the Garden Path, I haven't even looked at mine. I will do them when I get back from the retreat. So that'll be the last week of the month. It'll be finishing off. So we've got little guy here. What are we going to do? Do we try another one? Why not? Jennifer would. So let's, I thought that was a small bit. No, it's not. We only need a little bit. I'm going to try this silvery grey and see what that stitches up like. The other thing I thought I might do in the background of this piece a little bit is some seed stitches. So I'm filming this before I go to Melbourne to the retreat. So I might even take it with, and if I get back to my hotel and I'm lacking something to do because I'm sitting there all by myself, I might just do 2 petals here. I might have a play with some seed stitch on this. I don't want to do too much because it might overpower all of this embroidery. So I've got to be a little careful. But seed stitch, I just love the effect it gives. It sort of adds that quilted feeling. So maybe I can seed stitch all through this and drift it out a little bit to blend it. I don't know. Okay. Now I'm just doing the 2 on that. If I did the 3 like I drew, I think it'd look too matchy-matchy to this side. And if anything I've learnt from Jennifer's book is the moment it starts looking matchy-matchy, you're losing that creativeness that, you know, you want to look into this style of embroidery and see many, many elements, which is, I think, am I right, Jennifer? I don't know if Jennifer even watches, but I think she watches Rachel and the Facebook group because I've seen the odd comment come through. So she's definitely aware of us all. Now, how are we going for time? Oh, heaps of time. Let's have a look at these leaves. Oh, this is going to be a challenge. It's cold, guys. I'm cold. My hands are cold. Now, go to the book before you go off on your own tangent, girl. Okay. Now, these are interesting. Now, they're a series of stitches, but there's the odd ones that stick out from it, which is classic Daisy, isn't it? Now, she's used a green there, which I do like the look of. What are we going to do? Don't have enough of that. Ribbons are not. Do we do a green? Hang on, let's have a look in this basket. These are the projects, these are the threads from Down the Garden Path, which I haven't yet merged. See, look at that. It might be too strong. I haven't merged these back into... What's the matter, Pepper? What's the matter? I haven't merged these back into the box of tricks where they all come from. Let's have a play with these. What did she use? She used wool. Pepper, stop being rude. Yeah, it's wool. Yeah, it's wool, one thread. Stop it, she's becoming very demanding. This dog, I tell ya. Do we do that? Or do we do this? I guess we'll know once we start stitching. I'm tempted to do the brown. See how there's brown leaves here? It's not the colour you would think of using. But I don't know. Gosh, how does this unravel? This is a second-hand one, so some dear lady has twisted this together. And now I've got to unravel. Here we go. That's a variegated. I think it's too bright. That's all we're going to see when we look at the piece, so we'll get rid of that one. This to me is sort of heading off in a green vein, and we are trying to stay a little bit brownish, I think. Okay, we'll give it a go. If it doesn't look right, I'll unpick it, and I think this will make a good stem as well, so I think it'll look like it's meant to be with this particular project. Okay. So she hasn't used a fly stitch or anything like that, or a V-stitch. She's just done a, so I've got some tulle there that I need to get underneath. Come on. Let's see if we can get at least one done, and then I can finish them. And that's all going to depend on whether this colour looks right and whether I go, no, I'm going to unpick it. I don't know if I've got the angle of my leaf correct. It might be too sharp, the V. And there could even be a trick to you do one side and then you come back down the other side. So that's where doing a class with some of these artists really helps, because there's probably, the way you lay the thread down is probably a big part of it to get the look. But, you know, if you can't get to these classes, which 99% of the time we can't, we've just got to experiment ourselves and just do some little projects until we feel like we've mastered that style of leaf, and then you're right to go. And even then you're going to forget it. And then you have to reteach yourself again. Yeah, I think my stitches are not splayed out enough. Where's the picture again? I think I'm too sharp. Oh, no. No. We're good. I think I'm probably not big enough, but we'll see. These might just be brown blobs. We'll keep going. And then she's got these random ones that go past the line of the leaf. That gives you that distinctive daisy leaf feel. And then she comes in again. I'm getting hungry. That's why Pepper's woofing at the window. I've done proper English, Corrine. I've completed my second video now. This is this one. And I'm getting peckish myself. Hubby, I can hear, is in the shower. The sun is now up. It's no longer the wee hours of the morning. Pepper is at the window going, yip, yip, let's go. And now I can hear Fudge. Goodness me. These animals, I tell you, don't they know? Pepper's just going backwards and forwards across the window. She mustn't have had enough breakfast. Oh, it wasn't Fudge, it's Casper. Good morning, Casper. Caspy. How are we going for time? Hello, Casper. Hey, Mama. Hey. I know you like looking at Casper and Fudgy, and I haven't shown them for a little bit. So here is Casper. He's my cream Burmese. He's just grabbed my shirt with his claws. There's he. Hey, Casper. Have a quick little pat. We better get you a look at everyone. Hey, Casper. There's the nose. He's a blue Burmese. So he's got the blue on his face. He's thinking, what am I doing? Why am I here? Hey. He's got beautiful paws. Big, fat, soft velvet paws. Hey, Casper. Don't you be pulling that off. All right. We'll just flip him over briefly so you can get him a good look at Casper. I know you all love seeing Casper and Fudgy. Hey, Casper. Look up at everyone. Those big eyes. See, that's eyes of saying, what are you doing? Why am I upside down now? He's purring, so he's not distressed. There you go, Caspy. Off you go. Let's get focused back on this leaf that seriously is looking like a big brown blob. I'm not digging the leaf, guys. Maybe I've got to use stranded cotton. See? It just looks like a blob. Nah, stop. Nope. I don't like it. Either the wool is not right, and she's using a wool that just is not Appleton, which is possible, or I've stitched it too densely. And when you're using a dark colour, that often turns into a dark blob. So let's just stop right there. Now that thread could be good for the stem, but it's not going to be good for the leaves. What about this variegate? Oh, hello. You might be okay. We are getting a bit of green in now. Don't know if that's a good decision or not. Let's have a quick play with this. We've got 3 minutes. We will know within a few stitches. I think this is going to be too fine. It's sort of I think we need to be somewhere in between the two, but we'll give it a go. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think this will be too fine. Once again, exactly why you do a mood board. I'm going to stitch one side only this time, just to see if that changes. Yeah, this feels more open. And yet the leaf looks fine. Like we've got quite a fine piece here, like all the elements are very fine. It's funny how I was stitching yesterday that stem in satin right at the beginning, and it all knotted up, so I stopped, unpicked it and changed to a new thread style, a new type of stitch. So something stopped me, you know. And now Casper comes along, interrupts. I then look back at the work and go, nah, that's no good. So once again I stopped, unpicked it, and I've started again. Sometimes it pays just to stop every so often and look back at your work and give your mind time to, I guess, observe what you've just done. Yeah, this is better. See, I did not think this would work. I'll bring it up to the camera in a moment, but what I'm seeing here is I'm getting that little pointy bit that she's got on those on those leaves. And by doing the one side at a time, I think I'm going to be able to manipulate the shape of the leaf a little bit more, to be honest. So I can get, you know how a feather, when you look at it, it'll go real thick on one side but thin on the other side, and it helps you, I guess, believe that it's actually a feather when you glance at an embroidered feather is what I'm talking about. And I think this will do a similar thing. I'll be able to get the eye to see all of these little pointy bits that come out from the line of the leaf. And I guess if the colour's not quite right, I can live with it, because I probably will need to revisit the threads for the whole project. Yeah, this is going to work. I'm getting to the point, but I really needed that leaf to be a little bit longer, and I'm getting smaller. So that's a lesson in there in itself. But I might be able to make the bottom part of the leaf a lot wider. It's just a matter of playing, guys. Like all of these famous textile artists that are out there, I can assure you they play too. They just stitch until their eye goes, yep, that looks right. Or they get, you know, the shape or the colour or the texture they want in a particular leaf or whatever it is they're stitching. We all have to work hard to get what we want in our embroidery, I believe. So give yourself a break is what I'm trying to say, And don't be afraid to unpick it. If it doesn't look right, just unpick it and change your thread, change your direction, your stitching. Start from the top of the leaf in a leaf scenario. Start at the top and work back and see if that makes a difference. I must admit, this is actually quite small, this leaf, and it actually looks pretty good to the piece because it is finer. Maybe if I'd continued in the vein of doing this big leaf as big as I'd sketched it, it might have looked quite overpowering of all of the pieces. So I don't know, maybe this is where I need to be with this. So I'm just getting to the top of the leaf now, and I think I'll just do a couple random little stitches up here to get that point. I don't know if that's going to look right, but I think it might. And then I can start the process of coming back down the other side, which is looking pretty good, if I do say so myself. I think that's going to work a treat. And you can see I sketched right up to here, and my leaf was pretty much right out here, but it's not going to be that. It's going to be a lot finer. Maybe I can get some of these a little bit bigger, but this is going to work up probably like that, but we'll see. Now the other thing is, I think this thread, I'll just do a dummy stitch. I think this thread will be what I'll use up here as well on this daisy, that daisy, and that daisy. So that's my homework, guys. I'm going to finish the stems and the leaves on all of this under area here. And then when I come back in the next video, we'll play with what we do in the 3 tops here, and we'll have a little play with seed stitch and see if that's where we want to go in finishing this off. And being that I have stitched all that now, I might even get the iron out and get rid of the red lines so that when I do come back, it's a lot cleaner looking. Yeah, no, that's good. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that and head off and have some breakfast, and then I'm going to come back after breakfast and carry on. So it'll be the same day for me. That's why it's all fresh in my brain. 3 videos in a row for me, 3 days in a row for you. All right, guys, see you in a moment. Well, no, see you in the next video. Bye.